Hey guys, Chris here, and I'm a Ukrainian Canadian. Today is October 30th, 2022, and let's get over the news happening in Ukraine and the world, shall we? So yesterday was massive for the Ukrainian military. On the 29th, we managed to hit a lot of ships from the Russian Navy. We hit them in the Sevastopol port, and apparently we managed to damage at least two of their main flagships, being the Admiral Makarov and the Admiral Essen at Sevastopol. And you can see here, this is the Admiral Makarov, a rather modern ship that was recently built by the Russian Navy. And the pictures on the right are the aftermath on that strike, and you can see the plumes of smoke coming out of the Russian Sevastopol port, which is Ukrainian and will be Ukrainian soon. And I have some fantastic and crazy footage from this attack, which was given to us thanks to the Ukrainian military. So let's take a look at that. As you see, I will put it on full screen and let's take a look. So you can see this was during the nighttime, apparently, that this strike happened. And this is an unmanned surface vehicle from the Ukrainian military, which is essentially a kamikaze vessel. And you can see that it's on its path to strike this ship. And because probably it was during the night, it did not see it coming, and they weren't able to do anything about it. And boom. And here you can see this is the entrance of the Sevastopol Bay. So this is really interesting how I managed to sneak in so easily. Yeah, anyways, so that is the footage, one of the footages. I have another one which is equally as impressive. And this feels like it's more like morning, early morning. And you can see a Russian Mi helicopter that is trying to hit this unmanned surface vessel with bullets, and it's incapable of doing so. And you can see the ship in the background, which I think is the target of this kamikaze vessel. And you can see, unbelievable, these bullets are flying through the water on this ship. They probably managed to hit it, but it is quite well reinforced. And the fact that it can be maneuvered by the Ukrainian military shows how much of a range it has. And boom, there's a cannon strike, probably from one of the ships. And this is a Russian patrol ship, and their men are jumping out of the little patrol ship, thinking that they're going to get hit. But that's not the case. They're not that important. So this is unbelievable, and this shows you the resourcefulness that the Ukrainian military has. We did not really have navy since 2014. Russia confiscated all of our navy since the annexation of Crimea, so we've lost all of our main ships. We already didn't have that many in the beginning. But the fact that we're capable of embarrassing the Russian Navy this way, and these ships cost hundreds of millions of dollars to build, the amount of manpower that is needed to man them as well. It's a huge blow to the Russian Navy, and psychologically speaking as well, I think this makes them even more afraid to get close to Ukraine and forget about any amphibious attacks. That's not going to happen. In other news, this is the culprit. This is the Kamikaze vessel that Ukrainians have built. You can see it's a low-profile vessel. You have the thermal imaging built upon the ship, and it's very heavily reinforced here, so it can take a lot of bullet strikes. And the payload, the bombs are stored in the middle, so it has extra protection. And it's proven to be very effective. As you can see, we've downed some of their ships, and it also causes a lot of fear, just as the Shahed 136 Iranian drones that the Russians are using against the Ukrainians. But they're targeting our civilian infrastructure. We're targeting their military infrastructure and their military assets, which is the difference here. In other news, following this massive blowout, the Russian government suspends the deal that they've made with Ukraine to allow safe passage of our ships for grain exports. This was to be expected. A lot of countries unfortunately rely upon our grain for their food supply, such as Egypt and other Middle Eastern countries. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen in the next few weeks. But I don't see this deal coming back and being restored in a nearby future, unfortunately. And also, following the strike, the Russian government has essentially blocked Telegram channels. And if you guys don't know what Telegram is, it's essentially like a WhatsApp where you can also have multiple channels discussing various topics. And it's mostly popular now because of the military news and the current ongoing conflict. And a lot of pro-Russian channels that are using Telegram have been criticizing the Russian government as of late due to their poor handling of the war. And I think it's a way for Putin to handle the criticism is to just block everybody on Telegram. And the only thing, though, is that the Russian channels, the Russian government channels, are allowed to continue to operate on Telegram. So it's kind of funny, it's propaganda 101. So that's that. And as well, the surveillance cameras in Sevastopol have been blocked to be, they're denied access. So the residents of Sevastopol and the Russian, anyone for that matter, are not capable now of accessing the feed of cameras all around Sevastopol. So that's that. And my question was, where were these Russian dolphins, right? The Russian government has been boasting about them training Russian dolphins, trying to protect the harbor of Sevastopol, and where were they? I think that they probably also taught them to drink out the job, probably had too much vodka. But all jokes aside, I think that, it was just some sort of PR move. They tried to show to the Russian people that everything is safe and there's not going to be any issues. But as we see here, it wasn't really effective. And in other news as well, Chornobaivka airfield has been completely, Russians withdrew from Chornobaivka, which is the airport north of Kherson city. They've been there since the beginning of the conflict. And as far as I remember, they've been hit multiple times by the Ukrainian artillery. I think it's like the 60th time at this point. And I think now is the time where they decide to say, screw it, now we're leaving. And you can see that all the military assets have been moved. There's nothing here anymore. You can see the dug-in positions where they probably had their artillery and their tanks and other assets. If you guys don't know where this is, I'll show you on the map. Chornobaivka is right here. This is the airport, and Kherson city is right south of the airport. And it's a very strategic spot because it is right beside the M14 highway, which feeds into Kherson. And so the Russians completely withdrew. And this means that they only have one line of defense here, probably, and the second one they're planning to build it upon with the city itself. There've also been reports that the Russian military is planning to actually defend Kherson. They're not going to withdraw. So I think there's going to be massive fights upcoming in the next few months in Kherson city. And in last news that I wanted to hit was that the Slovenian government is giving us 28 of these M55S tanks, which are deeply modernized versions of the T55. That's great news. As you can see in this image, the turret has been upgraded, the cannon has been upgraded with a modern NATO standard cannon. It has thermal imaging, it has IR tracking, it has all the important things you need to do modern combat at this point, which is the opposite of what the Russians are currently using on some front lines, such as Kherson and Zaporizhia, which are all T-62s that you have to manually crank, and you have to look through old scopes to hit your targets, which is pretty much at this point useless if you're going against a T-55 that's modernized like that. So it'll be interesting to see where they're going to be used. Let me know, guys, where you think these would be valuable on which front lines. I think Zaporizhia and Kherson most likely, due to the fact that the Russians are mostly reliant on T-62s over there. So that's that, guys. Thank you for watching my video. I am heavily thankful for your support, and leave me comments and subscribe to my channel and give me a like. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.